What's up, more fans? Dan Serious here, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler review for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, I went to watch it today, and let me tell you now, it's amazing. I enjoyed the film. I really enjoyed it. And this one has a lot of funny moments in this one. In a way to say, I think it's got like a lot more funnier scenes in this one. Like, they've added a lot more to it, which is really good how they did it as well. It's not like that kind of like, oh, they're throwing too much and you feel like, can we get to the serious parts and all that? Not that kind of way, but in a good way, you know, making that other film's not crap or, you know, rubbish and all that. But that was pretty cool. Now, obviously, before I get into the whole spoiler, if you haven't seen it yet, obviously, go and watch it and then come back here. But if you're one of those people who are not that bothered and you don't mind being spoiled, well, sit back and relax, grab some popcorn or some good food, and listen to the whole film. So, okay, what can we say about the story, the whole film then? Like, I'll do the best I can. Obviously, I got a site, the Wikipedia. I know that's never been trustworthy and all that, but it will help me to fill in some gaps then. There might be bits I might miss out or saying in the wrong way, but I apologise. Obviously, I've only seen it today, so you had to give me a chance. So, how do we start? So, let's start with what they first opened up with. So, obviously, with the Marvel Studios logo, they opened up showing some moments of the Guardians in each film, and obviously appearances they've had. Then we jump to a little first flashback to Rocky when he's just a normal raccoon with a bunch of raccoons. Then we see in the shadow, well, a dark figure coming, which that's the High Evolutionary, about to take Rocky to do experiments. But then we jump to present day of him, and then we see him on nowhere with the Guardians. So we see Mantis dancing, Drax saying, "Oh, this dance is dumb." Groot and Nebula putting the sign up for the Guardians of the Galaxy logo, putting that up. We see Cosmo and obviously Kraglin, when Kraglin's practicing, you know, his arrow, because so far we've seen, well, until this, but in the other story, we see that he's not still that good. And we find Quill, and we find out since after Gamora's death, we found out it looks like he's been taking a drinking habit. So he's been down luck, let's say. I thought in a way, I thought that was a bit odd he started doing that, because I thought once he found out about Mantis' sister, I thought that might have, you know, took that away from him a bit, but doesn't seem like that didn't. But obviously, we find him pass out and the Guardians all make sure he gets to his bed and all that. I was in Nebula with the Guardians talking about what we're going to do about him and all this, you know. But then we start getting our first fight scene, and which Adam Warlock makes his appearance. Goes for Rocket first, and obviously there's a reason for that, which I'll get to in a bit. Then we get like Nebula taking him on, Drax takes him on, even Groot takes him on, and Mantis also tries to take him on, but she gets a broken arm in the fight scene, and Rocket, well, badly injured. And then Groot gets really the bad one. He loses his body, but don't worry, his head is still he still survives it, and he's like headless for a little bit. But then obviously Nebula takes a stab at him, and it doesn't kill him, which I was surprised that doesn't kill him. So obviously he must be. Obviously this version looks like he could be unkillable, but I'm pretty sure there's a way you can kill him proper. But then obviously he retreats, so obviously everyone's alright. Well, except for Rocky, we find out that it's really bad for him. He looks like he's about to be on the point of death. And they show these new things that these Guardians have, like it's like for space as well. It's like these, like a thingy you wrap around whatever the damage is, and like you tap on it and it heals you. Like a Mantis is almost broken, there she taps the thing and moves it back to where it was. So, but you can hear the bone thing. They tried it with Rocket, but that didn't go well. They scan him, and they realise that there's this metal thing on his heart, and it looks like it was there for if I think he escapes or, you know, does something, and then they could use it to kill him. And obviously, because they don't know much about his past, so they're going like, right, we need to find a way we can find a way to get this off him. So Nebula heard about there is a place, like, obviously they do look a bit about the high resolution, well, about the thing it's made of, or I think that's what it was again. So speaking about him, we get our glimpse of the High Evolutionary, and Ayesha makes her appearance, her first scene in the film. If you don't remember her, she was the character from the second film, who's the all gold lady, and in the post-credit scene, you saw that she was creating Adam Warlock. Now, in this version, in the comics, I might be wrong, but I have looked it up before, that Ayesha and Adam were supposed to be brother and sister. But in this version, they make it that, Alisa is Adam's mom, which in a way makes sense because obviously she created him. But obviously we find out that, and we also find out, that's the big one, we find out that her people was made by the High Evolutionary. So that's a big surprise. And obviously we can see the reason why she'd be working with him. And obviously he gets completely mad about it, saying, "Oh, your son failed to get Rocket." But obviously he lets him go easily, and he doesn't really kill her or anything. But obviously that brings his attention, he's completely mad, going I need him now and all that, which we get into later on of why he needs Rocket. Then we obviously jump to the Guardians when they head off with Kraglin, and obviously Cosmo was staying behind on nowhere because obviously that's where the headquarters of the Guardians is. They head off to this one place where they could get some information about Rocket's implant on the heart, and she says he's got a contact, which obviously you can guess who the contact is. Once they get to the area, then the Ravagers come out of nowhere with Starhawk, so he makes his return here with his Guardians. So that red creature with the Doctor Strange's abilities, then the icy crystal one, then the Vaulting Head, who was voiced by Miley Cyrus, but in this one is being voiced, I think that I looked it up, was voiced by the actress who plays what's her name again? I'm trying to look. Hang on, I'm trying to get it up now. Getting it up now. Voiced by. There we are. Well, where is it? Voiced by. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, this one's a bit odd. I'm trying to find it here. Where's your as? Oh, here we are. Yes, Miss Minutes, that's it. The actress who voiced Miss Minutes obviously voices the character now, who Miley Cyrus voiced it. Then obviously we get our appearance of past Gamora, so obviously Star-Lord was surprised about that. So, and obviously we learned that looks like this Gamora has joined the Ravagers. And obviously they explain about how to get in and all that. They managed to get on top of the surface of the ship. Now, the station, as I may say, the station is the outside is metal. Well, you can say the whole place is metal, like a organ kind of thing, like flesh, and all that, which is very weird. They managed to get in and all that, but then obviously they had to dump the space suits very quickly when the guards came in. But luckily they got a way of making a fake story of saying that, we're part of here and all that. But Mantis realizing it goes oh shit, shoots are outside, and then Gamora angry and goes you threw him into the thingy, which that was bad. Then obviously the team split up, so we get Mantis and Drax heading off to an area where they could, to search where can we get our ship to come into the station when we had to make our escape. Then obviously Star-Lord, Nebula and Gamora go off to find where we can find the information for Rocket. Now, one surprise cameo appearance I will bring up in the film is in the station when you got someone looking over the cameras. Now, the actress is actually James Gunn's wife, and at first I was like, is that her? But when you see more of her in the scene, and obviously in the air, in that kind of the station, you go oh yeah, it is her. And looks like she's painting gold, so that was very interesting to add her into the film. Then obviously we see, Star-Lord, obviously Gamora and Nebula head to the obviously go by this woman who obviously who would know where to find this information. Star-Lord tries to do the whole cute way, like the charm way, but Gamora just comes out of nowhere and just points a gun at her and saying, "You don't do it, I'll blow your brains out," kind of deal. Obviously, she leads them to the this whole area where they keep data, where they keep the whole thing. They find the data they need. Then obviously, plan doesn't go ahead because obviously they discover they're not meant to be here. Luckily, Nebula, Star-Lord, and Gamora obviously managed to get out of their scenario they're in. Then obviously they got the item they need for Rocket. Then there's a fight scene going on with Mantis and Drax. Drax gets knocked down by the end of the fight with a gun blast. So I say he gets shot 2 times. But obviously the Guardians make it to this one room, and obviously he asks that woman again saying, please can you help us out and all that, so I can obviously try and temper the suits, the people who work there. He does that, and obviously the people who's suiting out the Guardians, obviously they manage to have their suits go malfunctioning kind of way, so they're flying around. Groot flies in with the ship, and they manage to get out. They use the thing to try and go like, okay, we can try and save him now. But then they realise, oh, we need something else that can help Rocket. And obviously, in the part of the scene, there's some people who work with the High Evolutionary, and obviously they got these things around their head, and it's kind of like something like to help out. It's like something they need from that one guy to get to stop the thing on Rocket's heart. So they go like, okay, so where do we need to go? And they found it, and they got the location to where the guy's going. Back on the thingy station, obviously Ayesha and Adam Warlock are there, and they interrogate one of the Ravagers. And this Ravager's got like a pet with him, who's part of the film as well. The name of the pet, its name is BLURP. Like a new character they made for the film. Obviously they're trying to get questions from him, but Adam Warlock, using his abilities, kills him. Lisa loses it, goes like, we need him alive, to get questions from him. But obviously, it doesn't go that bad for them, because obviously Gamora's trying to get communication with this Ravager, because obviously she just wants to leave the ship and all that. Because obviously her deal was, look, we'll help you get in, and then once you're out, that's it, I'm bouncing out. So Alisa uses his advantage to go like, say, give us our location and where you are. Like, just pretend, like she's doing like the whole pretend of, oh, I'm a Ravager, like that. So she tricks Gamora. And then obviously they get the location, go like, okay, now we know where I'm going. Then we come across when they go to Counter Earth and all that. They find Counter Earth. Now we do get some flashbacks for Rocket when he's lying on the operating thing, whatever you call it, lying down. He's got like a breathing thing in his mouth, and we get some flashbacks to like showing his early days, like with the High Illusionary, and then with Lara and the animals. Now, the one interesting of the flashback is we see that the High Illusionary, what he's doing at that point, he's trying to create a new species using some animals, like turn them into like the new men. But he's spraying me to Rocket that, well, every time I'm turning one of them into an evolved beam of themselves into the new men, some reason their animal instincts is still there, and they're not acting like us, speech and intelligence like that. But then young Rocket noticed that, oh, there is something wrong, and he's going like, how do you know that? And this is the point where the High Listener is getting keen on Rocket, like, about that. But that will come along later on the, about that part. Then obviously we jump back to the present. Obviously this is when we get to Counter Earth. Star-Lord even is surprised about the look of the planet, going like, it looks like Earth. And all that. So that was like something that brings up later on. They land on the planet, and then trouble causes happens when with the Guardians and the new men. But then obviously one of them brings them to their home, and they explain to them saying about, look, this is what's been going on. Can you help us? And it's with this bat woman, like there's like this humanoid female bat. That's what I'd say the creature was. This Newman was. And she points to the this big like tower that's like where the High Illusionary is, and he goes like, okay, we need to go there. So obviously Quill and Nebula head off there with Groot. And I will say, in the scene, Star-Lord drops the F-bomb. We get our first MCU F-bomb drop in that scene. Now, I know that was revealed like days ago, this clip, but I was thinking like, are they going to end up cutting it out, or are they going to put it like when he's saying it, but then something like interrupts it, like a beep of the car or like something? But no, it's in there. It's actually in there, and it's funny when that scene happens. And then obviously when we see Nebula and obviously Star-Lord look around the streets where they're driving by, and then notice going like, oh, it's kind of, and when I look at it, it's kind of like Earth, like you see someone beating someone, someone doing drugs, and it's like, well, this is like what our species is like. So it does mirror our, obviously Counter Earth and the Newman are supposed to be possibly mirroring like what we do on the planet. Then when they reach there, obviously only Star-Lord and Groot enter into the building. They do not allow Nebula in because obviously her arm's a weapon. And then obviously we get a point where Drax, he's getting bored, punches someone off a butt on a motorcycle and says, "Come on, I've got a bad feeling, we need to get to them." Mantis even telling him like, "No, we need to stay with the ship." And then he goes, and then obviously the both end up leaving the area and head to the tower as well. Then obviously we get Star-Lord and obviously Groot meeting the High Evolutionary. And obviously he sees the guy, obviously where that info bit is, and he goes like, "You." And he was about to lose it, but then the High Evolutionary obviously stops that and he starts his talk, saying about why does the planet look like Earth? And we learn now, in the comics, the High Evolutionary is a human who obviously gains his interests of evolution by Mr. Sinister and all that. And then obviously that leads him to be a character as well who is involved with evolution and all that. But in the movie version, no. It's one thing I feared, well, I had a thought that James Gunn was going to do about him was, he's an alien. He might have a human look, but no, he's an alien. Which I was like, okay, I'll accept that, but I was really hoping he'd be human, so he sort of has like a connection to Quill, like saying, "Oh, we're both humans" and all that, but nah, that doesn't happen in this one. But the reason of the, but why does this version of the High Evolutionary makes Counter Earth and all that if he's not a human? Well, in this version, he says that, he came to our planet some time ago, like long time ago before Rocket's creation. And he says about he was interested about our species and he thought about, I could create a similar scenario like with another planet that looks like Earth, another species like more better than the humans and all that. He explains about I met these ones, but they're not like how I want them to be, you know. And we get into the bit about, in another flashback, another flashback shows of the whole, why was he more interested with Rocket? And we learned that he learned the mistake they made when he showed Rocket, obviously, the Newman, what went wrong. That was like a turtle. I forgot to mention that part. But he shows off when he shows off these are the animals that go through this chamber that turns them into Newman. And this time around, they don't act like the animal cells, like their animal instinct and all that. They're acting like they got intelligence and them acting like us when we're calm and everything. And he says about, we figured out what we went wrong and all that. But there was more to this. He was saying about I want them to have your intelligence and all that. So, and then Rocky, because obviously in the film and his friends, they were saying Lara was all about, we get to be in this new world with him. But here we learned that that's not the case because the High Evolutionary goes "Oh no, you and your friends, you're not going to be part of the world I'm making." And that's when the part we learned that, he's gonna try and kill Rocket and the guys. But then obviously we get the scene with Rocket. Obviously he looks like he gathered parts. And now I'm still on about young Rocket. Gathered some parts to make like a key card. Then he's done it, and then he releases Lara's cage as well with the other animal. They're about to make their escape, but then she gets shot by the High Evolutionary. He loses it, Rocket, and he scratches the High Evolutionary on his face. You don't see it, but you can see some blood on the face. But then once he's done being angry and all that, he turns around and he sees his other two friends are dead. And then we see Rocket makes his escape and all that. So we get to see why Rocket is the way he is. Why does he not talk about his past? And why is he the grumpy and not the happiest guy? But obviously we learn about that. It is a tragic story as well because obviously they learn about and they see through holograms about his the torture he went through, the implants and all that you want to call that. But then obviously the High Evolutionary says about, with the Raccoon now we can restart over again. So he goes so in my mind I was wait, what? And in other words, he was I'm gonna destroy this planet and all these species and That was it. Which he actually does. So what he does is he activates the tower, what turns out to be his ship. And then we see that Star-Lord obviously running towards the... Well, they have a gunfight first. They use their guns and shoot all the guys there. Obviously, the one guy they need to get that thing out of him, he survives. Star-Lord runs at him and and obviously fall from the sky with Groot. The guy dies because obviously they use it... Star-Lord uses him to land. Obviously, even if Groot was holding him and has his wings out. Nebula, Drax and Mantis jump on the ship, but they think Groot and Star-Lord are still on there. Then obviously when we have Gamora back on the ship, keep an eye on Rocket. Well, sorry, I say keep an eye on him. In the film, we do see that the High Evolutionary has these new men. One is like a pig with side boy look, well, or boy you want to call it, and the other one was like a chicken, I kept thinking, or like a bird. But the piggy one goes to the ship to try and grab Rocket. But then, obviously, Adam Warlock comes by and he kills the pig. And then he was about to take Rocket, but the planet starts to get... It's blowing up and everything. He tries to reach back to his ship to get his mother. And there is a funny scene with him and his mother on their ship with that pet, the Ravager's pet. And it's funny, thought I'd bring that up. But he doesn't get there in time because the ship blows up and Alisa dies, so she gets killed off. But look at it, he doesn't get killed off as well. He obviously survives as well from the planet's destruction. Then obviously Gamora's flying the ship, but obviously crash lands by obviously Peter and Groot. But she's alright. They get the info obviously from the guy's head, and they obviously manage to get off the planet quickly. They managed to get the thing onto Rocket, and at first, it doesn't look like it's working, and we see Rocket, looks like he's like on his way to heaven, and he sees Lara, and he apologizes, saying about, I'm sorry, I got you guys killed, and all that, and she was kind of like comforting him and all that, saying about comforting him, and he was saying, because one of their dreams was about, well, we can fly in the sky and all that. And he says about, can I join you? But Laura stops him and goes like, your time is not up yet. You've still got more to do. You know, your story's still continue. Your story's not over yet. But look at it. He survives and and he's back. But then obviously Nebula calms Star-Lord, communicates with Star-Lord. And he goes like, we're not on that ship. We're back on our ship. And Nebula's like, really? We're on the High Evolutionary ship and all that. She really loses it, she does. And God, Mantis. Mantis loses it, she does, to Nebula, because she goes like, why are you always like this? Why are you like that? And all that. And even one point, they really upset Drax because they say about dumb and idiot and all that. And he goes like, I'm dumb? But Mantis obviously using her powers, she wipes that memory out of him. Now, they also find out that looks like the High Evolutionary created these human beings. Well, I wouldn't say they're human, but beings obviously that has our skin and feet and our looks. And they were like kids, like girls and boys. And it was like, oh, very interesting. And we learned that this is the next species he's making to be like better than the Newman. But obviously at one point, obviously they try to get him out. But obviously the High Evolutionary catches them and they throw him into sort of like a cell. Then the kids obviously come by him and Nebula, losing herself as normal, makes the kids cry. But Drax calms them down and he starts using this weird, he says it's a monkey noise, but instead it's some weird robot noise. And he does the robot dance as well. And then they try to understand their language, but he's like, I don't know that language. Turns out Drax knows the language. He even speaks in their language, and they're going like, what, you know their language? You could have done that from the first place? And I'm just going like, oh my God. In a funny way, like, oh my God, Drax is normal. So then obviously next we get Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, and Rocket obviously making their way to the ship. And obviously they start making their way there. But obviously the High Evolutionary sends out these mutated, like, weird creatures with robotic parts to go after them. Even the one who's in charge, well, I thought it. Well, he doesn't show him like he's in charge of them, but I would say he's like the one in charge of these creatures. It's like a weird tentacle, like with furry kind of creature, which I was going like, is that supposed to be a character from the comics? But I'm not pretty sure. He wasn't sure a lot, so I was like, maybe not. But then obviously we see the Nebula and Drax, and obviously Mantis. We find out that they sell it in. He moves down like a level, and and it looks like it was like something bad's about to happen. And what happens is these 3 alien monsters come out. It's I forgot their names. They were like these. The one from Guardians 2 that was the Guardians were fighting off in the beginning. To protect the obviously Ayesha's people's batteries. Yeah, that kind of creature. So there's 3 of them this time in this one. Now at one point it looks like they could be facing doom, but Mantis using her ability, and she's saying about, look, they might not be that harm. They're always the money interest of batteries, but she managed to calm them down, and it's like, she's managed to get them on their side. Then obviously, back to the other guys, back to the other gang. They, sorry, I'm trying to get my words in. They fight off obviously these mutated creatures on their miniature ships, because obviously the new guy's ship can be. It's very interesting. So on both sides, they're like mini ships. So Groot takes the one and Rocket takes the other one, and like the middle pod, that obviously where they fly the main ship, that comes apart and becomes like a mini ship. They try and beat the other creatures off. It looks like it's all going bad, but then they manage to get out of that battle fine. But Warlock comes in to try and fight obviously Star-Lord and Gamora, but they manage to get into the High Evolutionary ship, and the thing blows up, and it's like Adam was in that ship. But luckily, the little pet that the Ravager's pet, that was looks like Adam was very keen on. He survives. Obviously, he was with Gamora and Star-Lord. And don't worry, if you're thinking about wait, does that mean Adam Warlock dies? We'll get to that part later. So then the next bit is we see the High Evolutionary really losing his head about hunt him down and all that. Even his crewmates start to turn on him, but he kills them all, he does. Which I was like, oh, damn. But luckily, obviously a part in this scene, obviously we get Nowhere makes his appearance, because they contact obviously Kraglin, and obviously the ship comes. There is a one scene when they're all playing like a poker game, and Howard the Duck makes his appearance. I thought I'd throw that in there. So yes, Howard the Duck makes his appearance in the film, if you did wonder that. Obviously, it looks like the Nowhere has got some weapons on there, which I was very interesting, because the one eye becomes like a cannon, shoots obviously a part of the ship, which that causes a explosion going around the big ship, which I was like, damn, only took one shot and the ship's about to go destroying kind of way, which that was a shock. Then obviously everyone gathers, all come back together, Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket, all come back with Nebula, Mantis and Drax, and obviously Groot was there as well. Now obviously they all try to think about, they're all going to try and get out of here and all that, but obviously Nebula was on about, look, we got the kids, we need to rescue them. Even Rocket, when he was looking at this one door, and he goes like, no, I'm done running. And obviously this is the bit when it's like, get the walk montage together. So their mission is now like getting the kids out of there. And what they do is they contact obviously Kraken and say, get Nowhere very close to the docking bay of the High Evolutionary ship, which they do. And then what they do is they tamper with the shield so they can tamper the shield to get it to be like, people can go through it. And luckily, they do manage to get the kids, so they rescue all the kids and get them all off the ship. Rocket, obviously, before he goes to the hangar bay, he finds the raccoons and all that, and he finds out that, yes, he is a raccoon. And he's like, these other animals are there as well, and you could tell in his mind going like, these animals can't be here, we need to get them out of here. But then the High Evolutionary takes a little fight with him, even when he doesn't call him his name, but then Rocket finally uses his full name, and he goes like, the name's Rocket Raccoon. And I'm like, yes, he does. And another bit I remember, way before that, before the rescue of the kids and that part, you got a big fighting montage with the Guardians taking on these creatures and all that. Which, it was a badass fight. But that bit was good. But then obviously their next fight was with the Highlanders and everything. And everyone really beats the crap out of him. And Gamora takes the last punch with using her sword and stabs him. And you realise on his head, because obviously in the film you can notice he's got a weird head design. A head design, like sort of like Robocop design. And you notice the one bit is flapping. And I did wonder that. I was like, oh God, what's with that? But it turns out, when I said earlier about young Walker, when he scratched his face after killing Laura, and I was like, well, it must have done really something bad to him. But then it turns out, what it turns out was, Walker did really bandage his face, and it comes up, and this it was a face mask, so it comes out, and you really see what the damage was, and oh my God, it was really just horror, and it was like, ugh. And I was like, how did he survive this kind of bad? But then it was a bit when obviously Drax says to Walker about you should kill him, but obviously he doesn't kill him. But I think that I was trying to remember after seeing the film, I was like, did the divers and then he died? And I believe he does die from Gamora's stab. So so he gets killed off in the film. But then before they all get off the stage, the ship, Walker goes like, no, we need to get the animals off here as well. And they luckily do. They manage to get the animals out. Before Starhawk can leave the ship, his mini pod drops. But that goes badly. But he managed to get out. But some stuff off the ship pushes him back. And he looks like, in the moment, he looks like that he's going to die. But no, Adam Warlock saves him. Which that's another bit as well. So when they were getting the kids off, Drax obviously noticed Star-Lord's alive. Well, before he could fight them, he goes unconscious and he drops to the ground. But they rescue him. Well, Groot gets him up and gets him onto to nowhere. And obviously when Adam's saying to him, why did you save me? And obviously Groot saying, I am Groot. And then Drax says, he's saying that everyone always deserves a second chance. Which that was a point obviously planted to Adam saying, this is my second chance. I could be a good guy. So the good thing he does first, he saves Star-Lord. And he survives. And then everyone gives him a hug, except for Gamora. Even Adam does a hug as well, but he does that weird thing first. Does a weird thing first. And then obviously everything all seems calm. And the Highlander ship gets fully destroyed. Everything's all fine now. So the kids are all on the station. Obviously, I don't know where all the rest of the animals are gone, but you do see the raccoons there as well. And then we see the Ravagers picking up Gamora, and obviously Star-Lord saying about their goodbyes and all that. And in this point, you could tell that, yes, he's noticed that, look, you're not my Gamora, you know. But he was going like, at least we had some fun. And you could tell that this Gamora is starting to change a little bit, so hopefully if she does make it a return in the future, maybe she might become more like the Gamora we know, but I don't know. But then after she's gone, and then Star-Lord says about, I need to get everyone together to have a talk. And what it was, he was saying about that he's leaving. So, because obviously earlier in the film, Mantis was on about why you never go back to Earth and all that. But this must have been on his mind. And then he says, I'm leaving the team. I'm leaving the team, and all that. And he makes Rocket the next captain. In other words, the leader. And then and obviously Mantis says, I'm leaving as well. I need to find out what I want to be. And then obviously Nebula's like, well, I'm doing the same. And obviously Drax does the same as well. And he says, Nebula goes to Drax saying, I need your help. I would need your help on nowhere to help these kids. Because he was saying about, because you're like a father figure to them. Which, either way, it's like Drax has become a father again, but to these kids. Obviously Nebula's going to help as well. So really there, you can see that, looks like Groot and Rocket are the remaining ones of the team. And when everyone does the whole thing to Rocket, Groot comes out saying, I love you guys. And I was like, oh my God, he said new words. And I'm like, he's picking up some new words. And I completely lost it at that bit. Then we see Rocket obviously with the raccoon. So it looks like he'll be keeping an eye on them now. And he starts playing some music. And Star-Lord did say the reason he went back for that thing, he said that just to give it to Rocket. And you see it on the note, he went back to give it for him. They started playing music, and obviously everyone's dancing. We see Mantis heading off, still on nowhere, but about to leave nowhere with the 3 creatures. And we see Star-Lord, and he goes back to Earth, and he actually goes up to his grandpa. And obviously, at first, he thought he got the wrong house, but no. The lady brings him in, and the grandpa sees him and goes like, Peter? And they have a good reunion. Obviously, Gamora gets a good reunion with Star Fox and the Ravagers. And then we see, obviously, Drax doing the dancing. Even Groot, Nebula, like, happy as well. Even Rocket's dancing happy as well. And it seems like everyone's happy and it's all like a happy ending. So really, that's the story on that one. Now, the two credit scenes. So our first one, we get showing Rocket on a planet, and we get to see who are the new Guardians. So yeah, he has new people with him to be part of the new Guardians. So on the team, he's got Groot, he's got Adam Warlock, Cosmo's on the team, Kraglin's on the team, and that little creature that Adam obviously adopt, the Ravager's creature, joins the team. Now, one of the girls, obviously, that they rescue is part of the team. And at first, I was like, who's this character meant to be? But it's confirmed here that she is, well, I'll spell her name out. It's Phyla, then a line, Vell. Yes, this is a character from the comics who's also a Guardian. And I mean, at first I was going like, is that possibly Moondragon or this character? But yes, this character who I'm on about, not Moondragon. In the comics, she's known as, her other code name is Quasar. I know there's other names, like she's gone by Captain Marvel as well. There's another one. The other one she goes by is like Martyr. But obviously the one I know her name the most, she goes by, it is Quasar. But I think that might be the name that she might go with in the future. And we see him on a plane, they're all just having a little talk, and then obviously they see something coming towards the species. And they're saying, and Rocket says about, well, someone's gonna be out there saving the galaxy. And then Groot obviously he's got a bit bigger, and now Groot has become King Groot. You can see the crown kind of look and all that. And the last shot is you see Rocket and the team all running towards the creatures. Like a running team kind of moment. And that finished that bit. And the last scene is we see Star-Lord on Earth in his grandpa's home, and he's eating cereal. And I was trying to make out what he was talking to him about. It was like they went on about something, but not something important for the future. But then, and then his grandpa goes like, "Don't start don't start me," like that kind of thing. Not in anger, but not in anger kind of way, like, don't start me. Not that kind of way, but kind of like oh, don't start me. Like that. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm trying to recreate how he sounded like, but not in anger, but, you know, I could say sort of anger, but not like in a shouting way or like that. So it's kind of like a funny scene, but then it finishes off saying the legendary Star-Lord will return. So yeah, looks like Star-Lord will come back at some point, which I thought when he was saying he was going back to like he was leaving the team and all that, I was like, yeah, he looks like he'll be the scenario that he's going to go somewhere for a while and then he'll be back in the future. So, in a way, I thought that's good for Quill, then he's gone back to Earth. And I said to myself, like, I did wonder, like, sometime before this film, I was like, I said to myself, if Quill survives, I was like, I bet he'll go back to Earth and find his family. And, yeah, he found, looks like his grandpa's around. Which I'm like, that's very good for him. That he's finally back on Earth. Well, look, obviously, I know he's been on Earth with Tony's funeral and all that, and obviously the battle against Thanos. But what I mean is, like, back on Earth, permanent, like, staying longer than last time. So that's pretty cool. And that's really all I gotta say. Like I said, there might be bits I missed out, or I might not explain it in the best way, but I always find, look, it was, like I said, I only saw it once today, so apologies if I missed stuff out, but I always say, if there's bits I missed out, it'll be a surprise to you. Now, to give my thoughts on it, Mark, I think the film was good. I really did enjoy it. There was a lot of funny moments. I do love it. And the Evolutionary is someone you don't want to mess with. Even like Gamora says in the film, that he's someone you do not want to mess with. And in the film as well, he says that, oh, I'm not a person who wants to conquer the universe. I just want to create a perfect society and all that, which I thought, wow. Because obviously, with some villains, they're all like, oh, we're going to take over the world or the universe. And when it comes to villains, when the ones who not trying to take over the universe or anything like that, but in like kind of films when you have a villain like that, like Evolutionary, when he's just, to think about it now, I can't think I've ever seen a film when there's just a villain who's like, oh, I'm not trying to conquer the world, I'm just trying to do something else, like, but that's still evil. But to me, I felt like it was like, wow, he's explaining that he ain't trying to be like the next Thanos or the Kang. He's just explaining that I'm not trying to be like that, which I was like, whoa, that was very interesting. The Rocket story was really interesting to learn, about his background and all that. All the characters in the film they all get their moments, like Mantis obviously losing it to Nebula, saying about why you all like this and everything like that. Even Nebula gives all that to Mantis as well, saying, oh, why you like this and all that. Which I'm like, I was like, oh God, I felt bad for the both of them, because I'm like, well, you can't blame that person or this person, because this is who they were, and don't forget their backgrounds, what happened before then. And I was thought, oh God. And back to the Evolutionary. Yes, I am disappointed that he's not human in this one, which, like I've already said, I had my suspicions that James Gunn was going to change that, but in the end of the day, I'm like, okay, he's changed him to just being an alien who just has a human look. But in the end of the day now, I just say to myself now, when there's one bit of a character that's been changed, I'll go like, it doesn't matter. This is an MCU variant of the comic book version. So, to me, I just say, he ain't the comic book version. This is an MCU variant of this character. So, that's what I just say nowadays. Because, obviously, we're seeing more of the multiverse and starting to learn more about it, from what we had so far. I'm just going like, yeah, this is an MCU variant, so they're not going to be like the comic book self. So, there's your one excuse of why they're not going to be like their comic book self, or why do they not look like their comic book self. There you go. Also with Rocket, I'm really happy that he... And that was the other thing as well, I will say that goes with Rocket. I'm surprised that none of the original Guardians died. Like, I know we had that... This is the Pascal War and all that, but I was expecting that some of them get killed off, like Drax or... I did say, like, ooh, Star-Lord to die, but looks like that didn't happen, because I said to myself as well, because obviously, like I said, I was like, he gets his happy ending, like to go back to Earth and all that, and obviously that's happened. But I am surprised they didn't kill none of them off. But in a way, that's not bad, because even if they don't come back, like if we don't see them again, at least in a way we know they're alive and they got a good happy ending. But I'll be happy to see now Walking and Groot still continue, because I am hoping we get a new trilogy. We get a new trilogy with the Guardians, but this time it's obviously Walking and Groot and with these members, I said. And Adam Warlock, I am proud that every time when I thought he's dead, I'm like, oh, thank God he's alive. And I was going